Okay, thank you for joining us today. It's 11 o'clock right now. We're going to get started with it's our first webinar of 2017. So happy 2017 to everybody. Thanks for joining. We're going to be covering advanced HTML5 viewing and collaboration for Documentum D2 today. With us today, we have a special guest. Snowbound Software is a premier partner now of FME US. So with us is Frank Dentrone, the president of FME US, and Bill Martin from Snowbound, Worldwide Business Development Manager. I'm just going to go over a little bit of housekeeping. So today you're actually going to be in listen-only mode. You are muted, just so that you're aware. So at the end of the session, though, you'll be able to send questions directly to the organizer through the chat. And we'll read them aloud and answer them accordingly. The session today is also being recorded, so you'll be able to go back and view the session, and then also share with colleagues if anyone had missed something. That's okay. Again, direct questions to the organizer through the chat session. So just a little bit of an overview of what we're covering today. So we'll talk just one slide on FME, who we are. Some of you may or may not be familiar with us. And then Bill will talk about Snowbound Software and who they are, and we'll do an overview of VirtualViewer HTML5, and then a demonstration of the VirtualViewer HTML5 as well. And then we'll open it up for Q&A. So I'm going to turn it over to Frank to talk to you a little bit about FME.
Sure, thanks, Larissa. So I'll apologize for the audio issues, so I'm glad I was able to recover that quickly. So again, thanks, Larissa, for the intro. I'll give you a little background of FME, and then I'll transition this over to Bill. So FME, we're a ECM-related focused professional services company. We focus on a variety of things. One dominant area is in the digital transformation around the life sciences space, but we also cover industrial manufacturing and some other technology areas or industry areas. The main three other areas of focus is around, I did mention ECM or enterprise content management, but business intelligence, cloud computing, big data, more in the business intelligence space, and also around social collaboration, and in some cases with certain clients we do some tailored development activities. But we do cover sort of the cradle-to-grave approach in terms of professional services, consulting, conceptual designs, development, support and maintenance, and we do have a product which we won't get into today's discussion, but it's around data migration. So we were founded in 1995, so we've been around quite some time. We have 180 plus employees actually, and we do operate in a few locations, Germany being our headquarters. That's where our headquarters is located, so we have offices throughout Germany, but we also have a physical location in Romania, and myself and Larissa were located in the United States. And our last sort of bullet here, it's really our slogan, if you will. We strive for this slogan actually, so we really want customers to see us as a company that they do love to work with. So without further ado, I'll hand it over to Bill, and then I'm going to cover the demo. So Bill, I'll hand it over to you, and I'll do the slide transitions for you.
Thanks, Frank. Good morning. Thank you for joining Snowbound and FME today. As Frank and Larissa mentioned, my name is Bill Martin. I'm Snowbound's channel manager. I work with Documentum customers and partners. We're really excited to have so many Documentum customers joining us today that are interested in advanced viewing and collaboration. So we're excited to show our technology to you. There's a large audience out there, so we really appreciate you joining us today. I'll talk to you a little bit about VirtualViewer HTML5. What we're going to show today is version 4.6. It's our newest version. I'm sorry, let me just jump to the company slide too. I apologize about that. I didn't know which one was coming up next. I'll tell you a little bit about Snowbound Software too. We're an independent provider of imaging and viewing conversion technology. We're over 20 years old. We have over 1,000 customers, and we actually have millions of users. Snowbound technology is embedded in enterprise content management application and cloud applications. And so you may use our technology every day. We're headquartered right outside of Boston, Massachusetts, And our products actually come out on quarterly releases too. We fully support our technology and own our technology and release quarterly views, versions of the technology. What you're going to see today is our latest version of VirtualViewer. We provide document processing solutions for multiple industries and multiple verticals as well. So as I mentioned, we're going to show you today, and Frank mentioned, VirtualViewer HTML5. It's version 4.6. It's our newest version. And it's for D2 and Documentum. Frank's going to show you D2 and Documentum. VirtualViewer is a 100% Java application. There's no applets downloaded to the desktops, and it runs easily on any browser. Version 4.6 offers a full range of functionality. Some of the features that Frank's going to demonstrate today include collaboration features like document split and merge using drag and drop technology, secure redaction and annotation tagging, and pattern-based search and redact. So if there's sensitive data that needs to be searched and redact, including not only on a page but an entire document, it can be done. The redaction can take place, and you can even mark the annotation with a note. And if you save the document and say open it up in another native viewer, the content is fully redacted, not searchable. Those are some of the features that we'll talk about and show you today. The viewer is feature rich. I don't think we'll get to every function today, but if you have any questions about functionality or integration, feel free to ask us. The slide you're looking at today is another reason why Documentum customers use VirtualViewer, not only for the feature functionality, but the fact that we have seamless integration with the various Documentum UIs. We're integrated with XCP 1 and 2, TaskSpace, D2, and WebTop. And if you're not a Documentum UI user with D2, if you're, say, a cloud application, you can use VirtualViewer with whatever application you have as well. Frank's can also talk more about the architecture from that standpoint. And if you have any questions about integration, feel free to ask us at the end. With that, Frank, I just wanted to go over a few slides, so I appreciate that. We'll hand it over to you, and you can continue with the demonstration. Thank you.
Sure. Thanks, Bill. So there was just a couple of visuals here, which I'll probably just pan through, but we'll get into the actual demo where you'll see it real time. So here's just an example from, and this is more from a VirtualViewer perspective, the front end here, and I'm going to demo through D2, so you'll kind of see this experience on the left-hand side of the laptop, and then on the right-hand side, is a laptop where you could see and devices, so you can kind of see this from a laptop and a device support. So just a visual kind of helps what the capabilities are with the viewer itself. And then Bill, you said thank you already, so I'm going to transition to the demo. So let me come out of presentation mode, and we're going to jump into the demo. So let's go over here, and I'll just do a refresh just to make sure session is available. Or maybe I'll start from scratch. So just give me a second here, and I'll walk you through a few scenarios and from a D2 perspective and with the viewer. So just give me a moment. And I'm going to do a little intro of D2 because I'm going to make the assumption that not everyone's that familiar with D2. So I'm going to do a basic, I would say, primer or general overview, and then I'll actually get into the viewer itself. So D2 is one of the new web clients for Documentum platform. It's a framework. It has it's a configurable framework, has a ton of capability. What you're seeing on the screen is just a sample workspace or frame, UI configured frame. But there's a lot of capability in terms of making this user experience different or tailored depending on your particular business requirements. For the customers that are in the life sciences space, there are like prepackaged D2 configurations around the life sciences industry. the main modules for that, and I'll just touch on, I'm not going to get into the details of it, but they do have pre-bundled configs for quality documents like Q&M, also R&D. They also have the electronic trial master file, and they also have SSV, where for customers that are, publishing life science documentation for regulatory agency approval, there's an SSV module. So I just want to point that out, that D2 is a framework. The life sciences industry, or EMC, has embraced the D2 framework and developed these tailored packages configurations. And what you're seeing on the screen is just one small example of having a basic configuration. So you'll see on the left vertical or sidebar, we have capability. So I'm logged in as a test user. There's the repository. There's some filters here where you can define, do I want to see all versions or current versions of documents in the view? And then on new, you can create new content, new folder, content being document, if you will. There's advanced search. So there's a lot of capability in this sort of standard toolbar, call this a toolbar. And around content, it has a number of functions and capabilities that, we'll touch on some of it today. Also in the main view, we have these panels, and they're technically called widgets. There's a whole widget gallery where you can kind of drag and drop these widgets. I just set up, the simple screen interface, but you have your classical browser tree on the left-hand panel. You have your document list view for those who are, familiar with the web top interface. You had your tree view and your list view. Here we have the widget view similarly. But also what's nice on the right-hand side is we have this kind of like an accordion. I think that's the technical name, but it's a set of components or widgets, if you will, within this accordion framework. So if you wanted to look at properties, you pick a document. In this case, I have, a joint complaint document. I could look at my properties here. If I wanted to preview this file, and this is one of the things I want to call out actually, is that natively this document doesn't have a rendition. So for those who are very familiar with Documentum, and for those who may not, a document would be of a variety of formats. You'll see on the screen I have Excel and PowerPoint and Word and PDF. But this preview screen is configured, or the design of this preview, which is an out-of-the-box widget preview, is that it needs a PDF rendition. What's nice with the Snowbound viewer is that when you go to the viewer, the Snowbound viewer, it'll let you preview the file in its native format. So you see the file in the native Word. So you do not require a PDF rendition of that content, that primary content, to preview the file. I mean, I see that as an advantage, amongst many other reasons why for the reasons we're having this webinar, is to call out its other, capabilities like Redaction and notes that Bill had mentioned earlier. I wanted to call that out. But before I get into the functions of the Snowbound viewer, virtual viewer, I wanted to call out a few other small things around D2, and then we'll dive into the functionality of the Snowbound virtual viewer. So down at the bottom, you'll also see different views around that selected document. So in D2, when you select the document, the context around that document is displayed on the screen. So for this particular document, it's going to show me how many versions I have. It's going to point out where that document's located, and I drop these test files into the temp cabinet. And it also will show me, in this case, it doesn't have a rendition, which I mentioned earlier. If you had a PDF of this Word document, it would list it here, etc. So I could add additional widgets. That's what I was telling you about the widget gallery. I'm not going to get in too much great detail here, but you can see that there's a variety of widgets, and this is just a sample. There's actually more that we can provide in this list, but we just wanted to get a basic preview of this for the demo. So you can drag this, you can move it, just to give you a little feeling of how you can make this screen work for you. You can also, if you want to look at something in full screen, and I'm going to do that in the Snowbound viewer demo in just a moment, but you can double click on that widget and it'll show that widget in full screen. Any column that you see on the screen, you can shift it and move it. So if I wanted to see the status next to my title, I could technically move it over here. Well, actually, I grabbed the title and shifted it over. So you can drag and drop the columns however you wish. You can also grab a column and I can filter these. I can sort them. I can group them by this field. So if I wanted to group it by date, I can do that. If I didn't want to do that, if I wanted to do it by modified user, I can do that as well. So that's just some usability capability in the D2 interface, just to give you a feeling of that experience with D2. So now let me go back. I'm going to switch my name back over here. So I'm going to go in full screen mode so it's a little easier for me to switch it back. Just give me a second. Go there, and then I'm going to filter that, and then I'm going to go back to the preview here. All right, so I'm going to go down here and I'm going to select I have a document selected, but I'm going to go here and select it here. It's going to repaginate. I'm going to open up this document and I'm going to perform a couple of things to it to show you some Snowbound virtual viewer capability. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to select some text. So let me make this a little bit bigger. I'm going to redact some information. So it's going to give you a pop-up. It's going to kind of explain some information to you as a user. And then I'm going to go over here and I'm going to redact this piece of information right there. And then I want to do another redaction. And I'm going to say, you know what, I want to redact this sentence right here. Now what I could do is I could save this document and I'm going to save it and I'm going to fuse the redactions to the files. So they're not, it's not like a layer, if you will, from a viewer point of view. So we want to actually strip that text so it's gone. We want that redacted permanently from the content. So here I could do a save as. I'm going to save this as a copy, or I'm going to do a redact version. And again, this is just for demo purposes to give you a feeling what is capability. I can decide what format. I'm going to select PDF. I could choose to include annotations, and I want to burn redactions permanently. So I'm going to save this file, and now it's going to create a new file with that redaction permanently infused to the file. So now it's gone. So if you export this content, that it's going to have this redacted, and it's literally gone from the content. It's non-existent. It's redacted out. So this is really important when you have certain, sensitive information that you want to have redacted before you collaborate that content. If it's, in this case, it's a sample, a complaint document or any type of legal document, or if it's in the life sciences space, and there's many industry examples, I'm sure, but for life science, if it's like a clinical trial, you have, social security numbers, you have patient information that you want to redact before you want to collaborate that content with anyone, then you can do that. You can redact that sensitive information. If it's a legal contract and you need to remove certain aspects of the content of the file that's proprietary, or it has intellectual property language in there that needs to be redacted before it can be shared or provided, then that's obviously a good candidate for the redact capability. So I want to add some additional notes. I could, before I do that, I may want to take this file and I want to export it and send it. You can actually, I don't have it fully working here, but you could email the document. So if you have your mail server, I didn't set up the mail server in the demo, but you can, the SMTP connection, but you can basically send this redacted version through email. Or in the demo, I'm going to do a quick little export. You could define what pages, if there was like a couple of pages or certain pages you wanted to extract, you can do that. I'm going to do all. I can decide, well, if I had annotations, I can pick and those, check that off and say include the annotations, and I'll show you some annotations in just a moment. And here again, I want to have the burn the redactions permanently. So I'm going to export that, and I can show you the file. You know, this is the PDF. It's gone. I mean, the text is literally stripped from the content, and now this is a redacted copy of the PDF, but it also stores the redacted copy in Documentum. So that's where the integration with D2 or with Documentum in general, you can have the full version of the content, and then you can have a redacted version of it, or totally separate document version trees. It depends on how you want to handle that within your business process. I mean, that's a business decision and a business process decision, but the functionality is available to you. And there's a wide range of other things that you could do here. I'm going to just do a couple of sticky notes here. So if I wanted to grab this, and actually before I do that, I'm going to zoom in a little. So if I wanted to, actually I went in a little too much, so let me zoom back out. So I can go here, I can say I want to put a little sticky note in this section. I could put, you know, this is a test note. I can then check that off, save it. I can move it off to the side. I can, you know, double click on this, or actually I can right click the text here. Just give me a second. I can say edit text. I can actually add additional notes. So what I'll do is here I could change the font if I wanted to make it, you know, Courier. I can make this a smaller font if I wanted to. I can also make it bold or italic. I can add notes to this notation. So I can say, so you have a note which is more in the context of the content of the file. So you're putting in an annotation, a sticky note saying, you know, I don't agree with this passage. I would like to see this expressed in this paragraph. And then in this, that's just in the body of the the stamped note. And over here, you could define an additional piece of text that sort of provides some background to the actual annotation. You can have multiple. So you could say, you know, this is my reason, my first reason. And then you can add that, and then I can add, you know, and here is my second reason. You know, so you can add these additional, you know, texts to the note itself to give supporting information of the annotation. And there's a bunch of other things. You know, you can rubber stamp, you can do text edits. I mean, I can go through a lot of these, but let me do a few more things, and then if there's questions as part of the back end of the webinar, you know, we can come back here if necessary. But there's also, you know, you have your paging through here. So I could page through the document just within the viewer. So one thing I want to call out is that you could do a lot of work right in the viewer. And actually you could see that there's multiple documents that you can view within the viewer. So this is depending on how you want to interact. You know, I do have, you know, other documents here. I have the one that I put I put some, what do you call, redaction on it, but I haven't fused it yet. So I can have working documents in here, and depending on, you know, I want to finish one off, I can save it. You see the little asterisk here. It shows you that there are some edits that were done to this file. You can save it back. So this is the saved document. I'll save it directly back into Documentum. Like I said earlier, you could save the document as, give it a new name, which I actually showed you. So there's a number of things you could do within the viewer itself. I can go here and look at full width. I can fit it top to bottom. I can, you know, again, fit it to the window. These are just some helper ways of doing things. And let me do this. I'm going to save this document back as is. And then I'm going to go and grab a new document. So that document's saved. And I'm going to do another test, give you another scenario. So let me go back. I can do this. So I did it on the Word document. I mean, I could do it on a PDF. So the PDF will be rendered into the viewer as a PDF. So let's do this. I'm going to, you see that it previewed. I'm going to double click and I downloaded this document. It was freely available through Google. So I found this was around, it was a life sciences type of document. It's public information. So it was around some published document. So here I can see that there are, there's a number of document pages in this. There's 17 pages in this file. I might want to, again, I can put in a sticky note or I can do a text edit. Let me do a text edit here. We can drop that there. This should be changed to X. Now we can save that. I can change this, again, change the font to a smaller font, and I can close that out. I can go to the next page. I can redact another, or I can highlight this findings. And then I can, there's another line, edits, arrows. I can do freehand if I wanted to write something. I just have my mouse here, so I'm not going to do that. And then if I wanted to do another redaction, I could do that here. And then I can save this. Again, I'll save this as a new document. And I'm going to call this so we'll save that as a new document. Give that a chance to save. It's a larger document. So saving it back to Documentum. Okay, we can go to the next page. It's to show you that my other notes are still there. So the redaction is there, the text highlight is there. Let me minimize the viewer. Go back to the main screen, D2 screen. And then we can go back and we can see the different pages. And I'm going to do I got to wait for this to paginate in the viewer here. But let me grab a different document. So let's do this. We can grab this joint complaint document. We can save that. And I just want to see the pages paginate here on the right-hand side. Just give me a moment. And obviously this is a demo environment, so just some samples in here. So just give me a second. And I can close this, close this. So I'm going to close some of these documents that I have. I don't need to save that. And you can see I have I had a bunch of working documents saved, so I can work on multiple documents within that one view. So let's go back. So I might want to grab this redacted version. Let me do this. I'm going to do a full refresh. I don't know if Bill, while I'm getting set up for my next, because I'm going to do another setup where I'm going to copy some pages and merge into a new document. So I'm not sure if there's any other items we want to call out while I'm getting that set up right now. We have a few minutes here if we wanted to add a little information for the team on the call. Any other additional capabilities while I'm getting that set up?
Thanks, Frank. No, nothing to add. The demo looks good on this end too.
Okay.
I think you're highlighting too the speed of viewing and choosing different documents. That was just one feature that I wanted to call out as well, is the speed of viewing documents, selecting, and many times some of these documents are very large too. And we hear it from Documentum customers that, you know, the time to view large documents when they're in a transactional process, they're processing mortgages or loans, a lot of times in those kind of cost center transactional environments, it's the speed of viewing large documents that really makes a difference when you're working in that type of, you know, case management or workflow environment. So
right.
It's something that we take, you know, we work with the partners and customers really serious about viewing content extremely fast when it comes to, like, say, large PDFs, for example. So it's something I just wanted to mention. You're highlighting when you're viewing different documents here, like a 17-page PDF document here.
Yeah, I mean, and then these are the documents. So you don't have to, one thing which is nice, you don't have to, the user doesn't have to open up the files directly and look at them outside, you know, in the native file format. You can select those and, you know, click on those particular documents. It'll load them in the viewer. I mean, I see that as a benefit. And then you can quickly go through, you know, these different documents at a glance. I mean, I can just go here and just quickly go and look at the file. I can, as I was showing earlier in the demo, you know, I can do a full screen. You know, I can scroll through. I can page through the file, you know, very quickly. I mean, if you had to do this, you'd have to open up every file in Documentum. Keep in mind, as I said earlier, the native format, because you may not have a PDF rendition, so you couldn't preview it in the preview widget. But here you can, you know, you can navigate through each file and page through each page and get a glance at the information without actually physically opening up every document. And then here you'll see, you know, you have like a thumbnail preview of the page, so I can shortcut and go to this page. I can shortcut and go, you know, I can go quickly at a glance to another page. And again, I mean, we just have this little demo. It's on a VMware sitting in Germany, actually. So it's not really scaled for, you know, enterprise production. It's just kind of a demo environment. But just in this small little demo environment we have running Tomcat and Documentum repository, you know, it's pretty quick, actually, for a very, very small footprint we have for the demo. So that gives you a feeling, you know, if we scale this from an enterprise customer's landscape, you know, architecturally, you know, you'll have even a much more better experience from a performance point of view. So I just wanted to call that out. It's just the nature of demos. So I could do document assembly. So if I wanted to take a page here, you know, I can copy a page here. I can go back to my a recent redaction. You know, I can select the page and I could say insert after. So now I just added another page to this 3-page document. So you can actually do content assembly, if you will. So I know it's going to take a minute for that to sync. But you can basically open up different documents. You can go pick pages that you think are important that you want to assemble together, save that as a new document, and send that out. So you can go grab certain pages from different documents, redact them or not, add sticky notes or not, assemble them together into a new file, save that back to the repository, give it a new name, and then you can email or export or send it in a workflow within Documentum in D2 to those business users for their review, et cetera, et cetera. So trying to give you a feeling of what that experience could be like, and it's quite powerful to be able to do page level assembly across different documents within the viewer alone. So you can pick your 3 documents that you're working on, and then you can kind of assemble. Maybe you're interacting with a legal counsel, and there's some documents that have a few pages that really need a good close eye, and you don't want the attorney to have to sift through, 15, 20, 100-page documents. They need to focus on these 10 pages. You could assemble those from different files and say, hey, this document includes the pages from here and here, and you could even put sticky notes on the pages to give an illustration or commentary to legal counsel, so that they have a clear understanding of what they're looking at. So that's another really good use case that may fit into the folks on the webinar. Maybe that resonates with you. So I think I could show more feature function, but I think it might be good to open it up to the webinar folks for some questions. It could be an interactive discussion, and maybe take a quick look back at the technology. So I think Larissa and Bill, I think maybe it's a good time for us to hand it back, to the group and say, to see if we have any technical questions or business questions, or any question is a good question in my mind.
Sure. Thanks, Frank. As Frank said, if you would have any questions, you can direct them to the organizer in the chat session below, and then we will address them for you. If there's anything additional that we can show you, mention that as well. That's fine too.
Right.
Let's see. We do have a question from the audience. Does the viewer work exactly the same, I believe, in WebTop, or does it support WebTop?
So the answer is it does work with WebTop. So Bill, I don't think it has a big difference in experience with WebTop. I think it's the same technology. We worked on, FME worked on the integration with D2 and XCP, but so Bill, the WebTop integration is the same experience, correct?
It's correct, yes. It works completely the same. Of course, the user interface is going to be different because we're looking at D2 here, but the feature functionality within VirtualViewer is completely the same. Correct.
And actually, before we take another question, Larissa, I'm going to mention to the group that the behavior, the functionality of the VirtualViewer is actually, we're looking at D2, and we mentioned some of the other Documentum UIs, but I've personally worked with other customers like in insurance and finance where they have, internally developed, portal applications. This technology can be embedded in those internal application, portfolios that you may have. Maybe you need this capability in that application. This will work. So this is, you can integrate and interoperate with other application environments with the VirtualViewer. So it's because of the nature of its architecture, the HTML5, essence of the VirtualViewer. So we could take another question. I just wanted to point that out for those who may want this capability in a non-Documentum UI.
Sure. There is another question that came in. Which document formats are supported by the viewer?
Yes, so Bill, I know there's like hundreds. So I don't know if Bill, you have off the top of your head. I mean, there's all the main ones for sure, but anything you want to call out?
Well, I mean, you're right, all the main formats, and if you go to snowbound.com, you can see a list of all the formats. We're talking about well over 100 different image formats. Maybe your question too is, we do save file formats back into D2 as DM notes. Maybe that's part of your question. So, but if it's strictly around format support, feel free to go to our website or contact me or Snowbound directly if there's some proprietary formats that you're talking about, or even formats with certain annotation layers connected with it. We love samples, so feel free to contact us if you have a need for viewing or if any of those touch points. kind of meet your customer's requirements or your requirements.
Okay.
Thanks, Bill.
And there is another one. If the virtual viewer also supports SharePoint. Maybe, Bill, you want to address that one?
It does. We have customers using Virtual Viewer with SharePoint. And again, if, you know, and of course the Microsoft suite of formats. So, you know, again, great question. And, you know, feel free to reach out to us too if there's any custom questions or formats that you want to talk about, or you know, if it's SharePoint in the cloud, for example. So yes, we do integrate with SharePoint.
Thank you, Bill. And what resources are in the viewer to automate changes to more than one document?
So, make sure I understand the question. So, I mean, these are definitely different documents that we even see on the screen. They're physically different files, different documents in Documentum. The fact that you selected that document, you know, it previews it in the viewer. So, I mean, we can pretty much go in and do redact, text, all of these annotation and a lot of these feature functions on the left-hand side, highlight text and lines and all this stuff you see on the left-hand bar here can be done within each file across one or more pages, all independently from one another. So I can do this across these four documents, and then I can save or save as any of those back into Documentum. And all of the notes, the sticky notes, or the redaction is fused back into the content, back into Documentum. I don't know if I answered the question, but there's no real limitation across these different files that we're looking at even on the screen. And if I didn't answer that question, maybe we can follow up with that person directly.
Mm-hmm. Okay, great. There is another question that came in, actually, if it is possible to get an evaluation copy of the viewer. Bill?
So, Bill, is that something you guys can provide?
Without a doubt, sure. If you go to our website or send me an email, we can certainly send you an evaluation. Sending me an email is maybe the easiest way, because and then you can say specifically what eval you do want, if it's one of the UIs or not. You can feel free to reach out to me, but we certainly have evaluations available we can send out immediately.
Thanks, Bill. There's nothing yet at this time. If anyone else has any questions, please feel free and send them to us, and we'll address them. We got a good demo. Thank you. So, Frank, good demo.
Yeah, maybe I covered everything. I tried to cover as much as I can within a demo. I mean, as everyone knows, demos aren't always easy, but I tried to cover all of the important things. There's probably a list of things that I didn't show that certainly, if we do if you have more interest, you can reach out to, myself or FME and or Snowbound, and we can, address those particular questions. If there's some feature functions that you didn't see that you were hoping to see, maybe we could set up a one-on-one type of demo for anyone who may be interested in that. And if there's any architectural, I'm sure the IT folks would want to know, how does this thing kind of work under the covers, with D2, we can certainly have those conversations in those one-on-one type of settings.
Absolutely. So nothing yet coming in, so Frank, I'm going to assume that was all our questions for today.
Sure.
If anyone needs any additional information, you can definitely email info@fme-us.com, or what is your alias one there, Bill?
bmartin@snowbound.com is fine.
Or to Bill directly. And there's information there.
I put Bill's information here for those who wanted to reach out to Bill directly. His number and email address is on the screen.
Okay. Well, we gave everybody back about 14 minutes, so to go have lunch. So thank you, everybody, for joining. We really appreciate it. And again, any follow-up questions, feel free and reach out to us. Thank you, Bill. Thank you, Frank.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Have a great day and a good afternoon.